Saving these for the trail.
We've all loved those experiences where you've tried something for the first time and it absolutely blows you away, especially with games. You just get that first time, it's always that first game. You've looked at any particular franchise you've played or even a specific genre, you'll usually pick out that first game you played because it was groundbreaking, it was something completely new. And through all the games I've covered on my YouTube channel, I realised that I really do need to give credit to the game which has blown me away the most, the one that is my favourite game of all time, and that is Horizon Zero Dawn. Now this game I picked up completely by chance. In fact, if you've been watching the channel and you've seen the highlights videos, you'll know I game with a friend called Kyle. It was from his recommendations and recommendations I'd heard from a lot of people that this game was really worth playing. I'd never played an RPG before. I'd played very few open world games, but this game absolutely sold me on this genre because it is absolutely fantastic. If I had to recommend one game to anyone, this would be the one I would always recommend. And I'm talking about it today because it's the one game that I really think deserves the viewership time on YouTube. Now I want to give a quick heads up, there won't be any spoilers in this video. I do not want to spoil this story for anyone because in my opinion it's absolutely fantastic. You'll find that a lot of games, they create one world and it's an amazing world. Some games might even struggle to do just that. This game has absolutely nailed it. If you look, you've got all the different tribes, they've got their own histories, they've got their own politics. There's this whole weird situation of how the tribes view each other going on in this game. There's also just the world in itself. It's a beautiful world to look at, it is incredible and it's really fun to explore this game. I really enjoyed just exploring all of the areas, trying to find the collectibles and just having a look around. There were odd moments where you would just have to stand and look because it was just such a really awesome sight to look at. And then to top it all off, the combat in the game is really good because even if you're not someone who's particularly sold on story, you're not too fussed, at the end of the day you get to go around just fighting great big robot dinosaurs and just these huge machines, and I found that really fun because the combat is really varied. You've got the smaller machines, they're easier to take down, and then it gets bigger and bigger. The machines get tougher and tougher, and not only do you have to know more attacks and learn how to counter those, but you've also got to learn the weak spots because the bigger machines have less weak spots, so it becomes a really interesting dynamic when you're fighting them. And then you've also got to be careful because you might be fighting a big machine and it's attracted the attention of some smaller machines and then they'll come over and start interfering. You've got to have your wits about you, and that's what's made this game really fun and quite challenging. If you like a challenge in the game, you put the difficulty up to hard or extreme on this game and you will have a really challenging gameplay experience, which I've personally thoroughly enjoyed. But the thing that really sets this game apart for me is the character development and the journey the game takes you on. It is absolutely phenomenal. You get to see how Aloy develops as a character and how her goal actually changes as you progress further through the game. You get to meet a lot of varied and interesting characters who either explain some more of the backstory or perhaps just give you an idea of what it's like to live in this world. It really builds an atmosphere. You actually care about these characters. And then when it came to the Frozen Wilds expansion, they really turned it up a notch because in the base game, there were a couple of points where you would meet someone, they would send you on a quest. Sometimes that person, you wouldn't really remember them. You might bump into them later on and realise, oh wait, yeah, I do remember you now. Whereas in the Frozen Wilds, they've made it so that sort of every character is memorable. They really have their own motives and their own emotions. They feel like a proper three-dimensional person. And it makes it really easy to lose yourself in this game because it's just so rich in content and in lore. It's really entertaining to play. And you can really empathise with Aloy's character. She's a strong character. She's been hardened by the truths of the world. She knows you can't depend on people all the time for help. She knows how to be independent and how to forge her own path in the world. But at the same time, being a role-playing game, you get to kind of input on her character. Whilst you get to see how she fundamentally develops through the game, you get to make the choices as to how she will respond to the situations. For me, it felt like it was an extension of yourself in her character, and that just makes it a really engaging experience. I found that with her, and with a lot of the NPCs you get to go on quests with, I really found myself loving their characters and actually developing feelings towards their characters because the game just wrote it so well. I have to recommend this game to everyone because it is fantastic. This is my favourite game I've ever played. At the end of this video, I'm going to be putting together a small montage of footage, kind of highlighting the world and the combat to sort of show some of the really awesome elements of this game with some incredibly overdramatic music, because I'm a sucker for that sort of thing. And then on the end screen, you'll see two different links. The first one on the left is going to be my game preview of Horizon Zero Dawn. It's a fairly long video, but the idea was that people that haven't played the game could watch it, get really engaged in the world, but yet not have the story spoilt for them. It was sort of one to kind of intrigue you and pique your interest. On the right, I will link the actual official game trailer for this game, because although you've seen some of the footage in the background, it will give a really good idea as to what the premise of the game is about. So I do hope you've enjoyed this video, and I really hope you can enjoy this game as much as I have.
The Old One's civilization was destroyed, but life was saved. All this searching, and I'm still no closer.
The only way to find out is to keep going, to keep making discoveries. Are you ready to go get the answer?
Of course I am.